perhaps we could think about the quality of attention, how you attend to something, because that's terribly important. So in this meditation this morning, I kind of did a Zoom meditation, didn't I? We were scoped out in space, hopefully not spaced out, open, mind open. And then I suggested then going down to a really refined object, like the tip of the breath, and feeling the coolness or warmth at a very, very small place. And then I suggested, well, I think I said the hara, rising, falling. Then I said whole body, breathing. And then I took it out, listen to sound, feel the body, and into space. So there's sort of different levels of focus. And why I did that was because I didn't know what else to do that morning, but that's one of the reasons I do things. But more than that, I was just wanting you to see what happens if you take a really tight object, what happens to your, partially your body. So a lot of people, when they meditate, if they have to meditate on a small object, they get too tight, they get too tense, they try too hard. And that's very indicative in the eyes. They're kind of like, oh, where's my nose? Kind of looking for something. And so as you do lots of body meditation, you really become conversant with the tension in your body in relationship to the attitude of attention. So if I'm trying really hard and my hands are squeezing, or my shoulders are getting tight, or my head's getting tight, you become very quickly aware of that. If you don't have kind of real body awareness, you could spend a long time really trying to focus on something and not realize actually your attention is being held very, very strongly. And I know, friends who have been meditating a long, long time, and as soon as they try breath meditation, they get tense. But if I say to him, if I say to them, the mind going outside is the cause, the result of the mind going outside is suffering, the mind knowing the mind is the path, the result of the mind knowing the mind is non-suffering, they get it right away. They get it right away. But some people, you give that in their mind, they need a more clear object of attention, and I don't know what works for you. So just throwing out all these possibilities, and the trouble with that is I throw out all these possibilities, and at the end, which one should I do? And you feel confused, right? But we are almost 40 people, so I need to sort of create some possibilities. But I think the patterns or the ways that I see people meditate is they usually have a kind of go-to practice that grounds them in the moment. Something that they've done that really, really brings you into the moment, because present moment awareness is where you need to be. And so something like deep breathing or counting breathing. I think the way I started meditation probably was counting backwards. And that's a common one, 10, 9, and at each out breath. And then if you lose count, you start again. So that really, really directs your attention and brings you into the present moment. But all these techniques, most meditators, or at least the people I know, they eventually get tired of always being the doer. There's always this me meditating, me doing, me meditating. And that somehow it seems like there must be a bit more freedom in this. And you begin to just explore that very sense of me doing and start to kind of be the me doing less. And say, like with counting, I think most of us who have tried that counting technique, after a while, I don't need to do that. I know the breath. I can be with the breath. And then the sharp focus, some people keep to that, a lot of people don't. So what I think the issue there is very much the quality of attention, how you are attending. And it seems to me the quality of attention must be in line with the Four Noble Truths. So it must be in line with tanha. Because if it's not in line with what right view is vis-a-vis tanha, then of course it's not going to work. So my way of, what should I say? My way of being aware of the quality, or being aware of the quality of attention that I am putting on the object of meditation, is to use language which corresponds to the three types of craving. So bhava tanha is the sense of becoming. And then I'll just put in the word non-becoming. And by putting in the word non-becoming, it creates a kind of atmosphere in my mind of going nowhere, not going to the future. And then if I am, like if my mind is trying to grasp some experience which I think I should be getting, like for instance, I might use in the Chinese tradition, the Huatou, I think it's called, the Who Am I tradition, which exists in the Chinese Buddhism and in Advaita Vedanta. Who am I is a question which has no answer. If you try to find an answer, you just go nuts. Who am I? I'm Viradhammo. Who said that? So it's a question which, especially I think that the Japanese side and the Chinese side of Buddhism use to make the mind alert. That's all. But because it's a question, I have used that technique, and inadvertently I try to find something. I mean, there's nothing to find, but so I put in the word non-becoming, and I find that really very helpful. Or I put non-anticipation. So anticipation is a good word for me because it's that looking for something into the future, and it's a word I like. It has some strength to it. So for non-anticipation, non-becoming, and that sets up an attitude of mind which is very much in the present moment. So this is for me part of samma sankappa, right thought, conjoined with samaditi, right understanding, conjoined with right effort. They all have to be somehow one piece of the practice. So that's bhava. So bhava is becoming, future, time, non-becoming, nowhere to go, that kind of thing. And then the opposite, vibhava, you say a w. I think you say w. You don't say the v, or you say the w. Vibhava tanha. I should have stayed in Thailand longer, Sure. They sent me out so early that I never learned Thai. Never mind. So vibhava is like repression, getting rid of, annihilating, not wanting, that whole side of the efforts we make in life. So I don't want thoughts. Say that's a classic. I don't want pain. I might not want the sound of the digger, or someone next to me is restless. I don't want that. So vibhava is not wanting, trying to get rid of. So in that, I quite often put some form of metta bhavana. It all belongs. That helps me very much. It all belongs. It's all here. It's all natural. So I do that as a kind of welcoming. So when I suggested the way in the mornings to do metta bhavana, just like welcoming the breath, that's an attitude that I use to get the right quality of attention, So like welcoming the moment, welcoming the fear, welcoming the sound, that kind of thing. So you can see that by using just a bit of language, it's not analytical. It's not like I'm thinking a lot. I just pop in a bit of language that creates a kind of refinement of knowing how I'm actually paying attention to the breath. And it really doesn't matter whether I'm focused on a very small object or my mind likes a more broad context. It doesn't really matter. It's the quality of attention that is terribly, terribly important. Kama tanha is just being caught up with objects. So for me, it's simply present moment awareness, because usually the objects that one is caught up are like past and future thoughts, memories, plans. So typically for me, it might be, yeah, it'd usually be something about the monastery. You know, we have some complexity they have to deal with, or I'm planning to build something, and the mind goes off and starts to consume ideas, and then just present moment awareness. Now that's, I mean, to explain all that is a lot of language, but actually just to put it into your mind, just non-becoming, non-resistance for vibhavatana. I use that a lot, non-resistance, non-becoming. It helps me a lot just to, okay, that's the attitude that I'm trying to cultivate. And then I can pick up the kind of meditation I like to do. You know, it might be something very, I do prefer, you know, you can see I'm really recommending stressing awareness rather than the objects of awareness. I find that most interesting. And so I'll listen to sound, non-becoming, non-resistance, just that much. And that takes you more to the practices which in the Zen they call shikantaza. And shikantaza is, I think, called choiceless awareness. But it's not choiceless totally, because you're still emphasizing the awake mind. That's the ultimate choice, isn't it? The awake mind. But the choice is to stay with the awake mind as it is and see conditions arising and ceasing. And I do think most of us tend to go there after a while, because we have some good techniques for grounding us. So certainly if your mind's really, really busy, either you have to deal with the emotions. So if I'm really churning up a lot of hurt that happened to me 2 weeks ago, let's say I got married and I had a horrible divorce and I was just in the court for 4 months. Boy, there's going to be a lot of stuff to process, right? And that's going to come up. And then choiceless awareness, like I've got no choice. I got this stuff which I'm going to have to deal with. And there'll be anger coming up and regret and remorse. And then it'll just be like purification. But oftentimes life isn't really that dramatic, right? Thankfully. And it's just sort of ho-hum, my mia kind of thing, right? And then the mind can wander off because there's nothing exciting going on. But those kind of very ordinary periods are very good for developing awareness around the ordinary. So sound, and then the quality of like receptivity, working with all that. So it's not so much a technique as an exploration of attention, the quality of attention and how you do that. So in the suttas we have, what was it? Sona, was it the guitar player? Not guitar, some other. He played electric guitar. No. Sona was a musician. And he was, I think, I'm not very good with the texts, walking back and forth, and he was so fierce in his meditation that his feet started to bleed. And the Buddha called him over and said, you know, you used to play the lute. I think that's what they define it as, the lute, which I like to think of it as a guitar. And, you know, when you played the lute, how did you play? If the strings are very, very tight, what kind of sound did you get? If the strings are very, very loose, what kind of a sound did you get? You have to tune it just right. So in some sense, you're tuning attention in a just right way. But how do you know what's just right? Well, it seems to me it has to be in line with the ideas of tanha and the letting go of tanha. So non-becoming, non-resistance, it's like this. That to me is a very good triad to sort of contemplate. With pain, say, some of the folk suffering from pain, non-resistance. And you can, yeah, and I think, you know, as we were talking about pain, the idea of moving and not moving. You know, I used to be very, very fierce to not move, which was probably good because I was restless. But if you make a kind of determination where I will not move, you can get into a trap of being the controller. I will not move, and you might not move for the hour, and you might get a good result. People do that, undoubtedly. But if the not moving is coming from a kind of holding, it won't work. So the people who are successful in not moving usually have a good enough body that they're not going to be crippled afterwards. But also they know how to do not moving with the right kind of attention. You know, the tension is quite okay, it's delicate, and they can not move, but it's not holding. When I tried that as a young monk, it was holding my posture. I'm not going to move. These guys aren't moving. I'm not going to move. Oh, I wish I would have moved. You know, I'd crawl out of the meditation space. So it's again, it's attitude rather than moving or not moving. So if you decide not to move, then can you do it in a relaxed way? And feel like the tension or the pressure. And as we were saying, like if you start to get pain at minute 22 of a 45-minute sitting, what happens? You want to leave, first of all. But what happens is the birth of time and self, because now there is pain, and there's the idea that I am in pain, and I look at the clock, which is a disaster, and I think, oh God, 20 more minutes. Oh God, did she set the clock, or did she? I don't know. And then after 5 minutes, you look again. 15 more minutes. This is agony. And what gets born is a sense of self and desire and time and me and the future. It's really the rebirth of a sense of self. So you can see that, you can see, oh, I see, with pain, and this is dependent origination. With pain as condition, there's the arising of tanha, the not wanting. With the arising of tanha, there's the arising of bhava. I don't want to sit here. When will it end? Time, birth. And now if you can see that as an object and see how the sense of self gets born and just know it, then you'll see it arises and ceases. But the awareness does not arise and cease. So it's a very interesting kind of exploration of how the sense of self gets born into consciousness through something like pain and desire, because that's what happens. The desire creates the sense of self. And that kind of attention to your meditation would be very skillful. You'd still be not moving, but it wouldn't be just from some fierceness that, well, the Ajahn said, don't move. Oh, great. You're going to hate me then. It's all your fault. But the quality of attention, the quality of contemplation and what's going on, then pain can be very, very interesting. Very interesting. But please don't hurt yourself. There's still a few days left. And it also, I would say, if you push yourself too much with pain, you're not going to want to meditate again. You might be able to do it for 1 or 2 sessions, a week or two, but after a while, why do I want to do that? I'm not a masochist, right? So you got to be careful. So then, if you decide to move, just do it mindfully. If you're restless, and the moving is just coming from restlessness, you'll see that after 2 minutes, I want to move again. And then you move. And after 1 minute, I want to move again. You say, well, do I want to dance all 45 minutes? Is it really what I want here? And you'll say, well, wait a minute, how bad is this? Okay, I'll go to a chair. But at some point, I think you'll learn yourself, rather than force yourself, that there is a profit in not moving. It is profitable. It can be very useful just to not move and react to the restlessness. And then also, I think, I don't like for myself, I think my knees are quite swollen now, and I know certain kinds of pain that they're not quite, they're just swollen a little bit. But I know certain kinds of pain, as soon as they come up, I move right away. Because I know if I don't, it's going to hurt me for hours. But other kinds of pain, I know, oh, it's just the body, not a problem. So you know your own body too. You know what it can and can't do. But that exploration of time and self is really interesting, how the sense of self gets reborn into consciousness. And how, if you look at the clock, it's the slowest 15 minutes of your life. Don't do it. That's very true. Okay, let's stretch your legs a bit. And take something simple like just the temperature, the warmth that your body, or coolness that your body feels now. So you take just a simple thing of body temperature and feel that. Let that be conscious. And notice, like there, like these kinds of ordinary things, there's no need to become anything, is there? It's not like you're trying to get an experience of bodily temperature. It is what it is. So you get a sense of non-becoming. I'm not trying to get anything from this. And then non-resistance. Temperature feels this way. So when you take something quite neutral and make these suggestions of a quality of attention, you sort of set up your meditation with right effort, the kind of right attitude, non-becoming, non-resistance. And it's like this, Benyang Mi Eng. So this is back, let's say if we use that analogy of riding a bicycle, you've got balance now. Now, can you sustain the simple balance moment by moment? Not get anything else, just the simple balance. So listen to sound. Receptive awareness. Non-becoming. Non-resistance. It's like this. And just rest in that attitude, with that attitude. Feel your body, feel the whole body awareness as sensation, changing pressures, temperature, pain, whole body awareness, receptive awareness, non-becoming and non-resistance. So choiceless awareness would be establishing that and then not choosing any particular object, just letting things come and go. Thoughts and sounds and bodily feelings coming and going. And then if you got lost in thinking, then the moment you awaken, you just really make conscious. So it's like this. Non-becoming, non-resistance. And you train in that way. If, however, you found somehow it was too fuzzy for you, then you could choose the breath or the body touching something. But see if you can make it not just like working all the time, but like relaxing, presence, because that's what sustains a kind of peaceful mind. So listen to sound. Notice the changing nature of sound. Be the witness of sound. And then feel your body. Notice the changing nature of bodily sensations. And then be the witness of the body. So I'll leave you to experiment with that. You can just stay there or choose the breath or whatever you find good. And we'll just sit for the rest in silence.